Hey, it's Hart. I've been attempting to do karaoke for a little bit, and it's going poorly. I don't understand how to work the mixers on my computer, so I thought I'd sit down and give you a little chat. One of the things that I think is frequently misunderstood by social justice bloggers on Tumblr and the whole radical feminism movement as a whole is what the word theory means when we're talking about social science, which is, by the way, a legitimate science, but we'll save that one for later. Um, Now, in the natural sciences, when you talk about a theory, it tends to be synonymous with a natural law. For example, the oft-cited theory of gravity and the theory of evolution. It's something that's applicable at all times, no matter what you're doing. It's always in practice. It's something that we accept as fact. In the social sciences, when we talk about a theory, we mean a framework that makes it helpful for us to explain something and look at something. For example, game theory is a frequent way to look at the actions of actors in political science. When we're talking about game theory, we're looking at people as rational actors. When people are rational actors, we're assuming that they act like robots, that they only have one idea in mind, and it's very much so a single variable, and they're always going to act in their rational best interests. Now, if we know anything about people, you know that they definitely do not always act in their rational best interests. They don't look at things objectively and decide that what's going to be the best for them in the here and now. And this causes problems when we use game theory in the social sciences because people will put off their best interests at the present moment for something that's in their best interest later on. For example, when we're talking about environmental policy, it's often better for people to save money and, to not buy expensive new halogen bulbs or whatever. But they do that and recycle and do things that are inconvenient in the here and now because it will benefit them more later on. So game theory is not used all the time. It's not considered fact. It's not the way the world works. It's just a framework that makes it easier for us to develop statistical models and to look at certain aspects of the way politics works. People are very complex creatures. In the social sciences, if we really considered every single variable all the time, we'd never make sense of anything because it'd be far too complicated to ever run any statistics on things or ever try to come up with any sort of explanation. This is not so in the natural sciences, where you can often put a lot more controls on your experiments. We can't operate social sciences in a vacuum because the world is not a vacuum. Even when we do experiences in the social sciences, people are such complex creatures that, we always have to have a margin of error just to allow for people being people. Now, what radical feminism has done has taken feminist theory and tried to make that natural law. Feminist theory is just a different way of looking at works of literature, at aspects of social society, that's a oxymoron, sorry, but of looking at life in a certain light and saying, what if this was true? Then what would happen? They've taken this and tried to make it the absolute truth that there really is a patriarchy that's oppressing us all the time, that men are these single-minded creatures that only look at women as objects of sexual gratification, as things that they can obtain and get things out of. And, feminist theory is interesting when you're looking at literature, for example, and it's useful when we're looking at history, which has often ignored women for various, very complex reasons that have to do with ties to natural biology and, women having to be pregnant and raise children, wanting to do that a lot of the time. And that's not how you apply theories in the social sciences. It's just wrong. I've come up with theories and I've applied them to certain situations, but if you tried to take that and say this is the way life works, not even just politics, but life in general works all the time, it'd be horribly wrong. It's just not correct. It's not how it's meant to be used. And these people, they just, civics, like basic elementary civics, just really must be horribly failing. It's so sad. But anyway, that's my thought on how they've taken theory and tried to make it fact. And that's just, it's very sad. And it winds up becoming a sort of conspiracy theory that people aren't doing this consciously. By and large, people are just people, and people are very nice and have good intentions. And trying to say that women are being put down, it's just not true. I want a career in politics and academia, and I am working on obtaining that right now. I've been in professional environments a lot of the time, and I've never ever come across somebody who didn't think that I could do my job just because I was a woman. I've always been taken seriously. In fact, the only time that I felt that I was put down for being a woman was when I was at an academic conference, and one of the presenters there was posing questions to the attendees, and he asked, "I want to know why women vote Republican. Why do they vote conservative when conservatives are so anti-women?" And I raised my hand and I told him, I'm very offended that you think that my uterus is hopping up in the voting box and making my choices for me. I do not inherently have any certain political views just because I am female, and conservative women are women with their own autonomy and thoughts, and they're just as smart as liberal women and libertarian women and all sorts of women in between. And men are no more inherently Republican than women are inherently Democrats. And I was actually invited to the Women's Caucus because I stood up and said that. So, it's very sad, and I'm very frustrated and really just disappointed that academia has gotten to the point where these people are just really misunderstanding these concepts and how they are meant to be applied. That's about it for now. Later, gators.